So we're going to look at the last major tool when we're working with our shapes, and that will be the duplicate and transform. And in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and start by turning on something we haven't turned on before, which is under Canvas, and it's the grid. And once you turn on the grid, you'll see that you snap to the grid. So first off, I want to go ahead and start with the oval shape tool and get something, kind of orangey yellow like so. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to start here at one of these points, and I'm just going to drag out until it looks like we've got about 6 in there. 6 squares. All right, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to grab the pen tool, and I'm going to go over here and change my color to something sort of that light white yellow color. And I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go over here, I'm going to click here, then I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go over here and click here and click there. So there's sort of a flower petal, kind of a basic thing. Let's go over here and convert this point here. So I'm just going to convert that point out like so, and convert that point out like so. Actually, you know what? Undo that one, pull it the opposite direction. There we go. And pull this one. There we go, like so. So there's a petal for our flower, and we could even adjust this one if we want to, something like so, so that we have a little bit more of a roundness to that petal. And now what we want to do is we want to duplicate that. So the easiest way of duplicating it is just to come over here and just say duplicate. And now once we have that duplicate, we're going to come up here to edit, and we're going to say flip vertical. And that's going to create an exact copy of that flipped on the vertical. So then I can take the move tool and I can just move that down like so and align it up more or less at the exact same point the other one's aligned above. Like so. That looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two shapes and I'm going to make a group so that we have just these two petals, one on top and the other on bottom. And we're going to go to Shapes and Set Duplicate Transform. Now the idea here with Duplicate Transform is that you can translate something horizontally, vertically by pixels. You can scale it, whether it be horizontal, vertical, or constrained. And then you can rotate it and slant it. So we're going to go ahead and rotate this, and I'll probably go ahead and rotate this somewhere around, say, 45 degrees. And then go ahead and hit OK. And nothing has happened. We haven't done anything to that yet. So let's go up here now and go to Shapes, Duplicate. And it looks pretty good. Maybe we might be able to get a slightly better result, but let's just go ahead and see how that turns out. So I'm just going to go ahead now and do Shapes, Duplicate again. And Shapes, Duplicate again. So there we go. There we have a nice basic flower. Now, of course, you could make this whole thing a lot more complex if you wanted to, but generally speaking, that's generally how you would construct something like this. Now, let's go over here and go to our canvas and turn off the grid, and that'll turn off our snapping as well. And then I'm going to go ahead and just group all these guys, including that initial oval, as another group. And we're going to go ahead and zoom out a bit. So I'm just going to put my focus on like so. And then I'm just going to go ahead and grab this with the tool and then hold down Shift to constrain this so that it scales and doesn't get deformed, something like so. And then move it up like so. So now let's say that I want to go ahead and make a line of these, a line of copies of these. So I'm going to go over here to Shapes, and I'm going to say Set Duplicate Transform. I'm going to turn the rotation down to 0, and I'm going to say horizontal offset of maybe, we'll try 100 to start. Say OK, and then Shapes, Duplicate. All right, 100 wasn't enough, so we'll probably need to do more like 200. So we'll undo that. Shapes, Set Duplicate Transform, try 200. Say OK. And then notice that the keyboard shortcut for this is Control plus the right bracket. So yeah, that looks good. So now we'll just do Control right bracket a few times. Like so. And now, if we go ahead and select all those, and then group them, and now we say, okay, well, we know that it's 200 because these are basically square. So then I come up here and I go Shapes, Set Duplicate Transform, set that back to 0, set this to 200, and say OK, and then do that Control right bracket. And now you can see that we have created this very complicated pattern very simply, just using our shape tools. And we could keep going on this for quite some time. But what's really interesting is that once you've got something like this all made up into one object, you can easily do some fairly complicated distortions to this using other tools in Coreal Painter. So this can be a really great way of generating repeating patterns. And that's really one of the great strengths of working with vectors, is for exactly these types of patterns, which maybe aren't spectacular pieces of artwork in their own right, but can be useful tools to you as an artist when you're designing a finished piece.